go.
Good evening. It's time to call this regular meeting of the San Felipe Del Real CISD Board of Trustees to order. This meeting has been duly posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Chapter 551. Mr. Secretary, would you call roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Luna Chavez.
Present.
Mr. Almaraz.
Present.
Mr. Overfeld.
Present.
Mrs. Linda Guanajuato Webb.
Present.
Mrs. Haynes. Mr. Mesa. Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Let the record show that a quorum has been reached. At this time, we will rise for opening ceremonies. First, to begin with a moment of silence, in particular to recognize the loss of one of our CNI employees, Lori Martinez, who left us this last week in her fight against breast cancer. And then we will follow with the pledge. Please rise. Thank you. Now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time we'll begin recognitions. 4A, Proclamation Head Start Awareness Month. Dr. Alana Talamantes Elizondo.
Good evening, members of the distinguished MASBA Board of Trustees, Dr. Rio, Superintendent of Schools, and Mr. Overfeld. This evening, I will present to you Mayor Alvaro Arriola on October 7, 2024, signed a proclamation with the City of Del Rio declaring with the National Office of Head Start Awareness Month for October, to encourage all citizens to recognize and support the invaluable contributions that the Head Start program offers in shaping the lives and the future of our children, our families, and our community. I am proud to present that two of our bilingual classrooms from Mrs. Nieto and Mr. Limon's class will present our National Head Start song for you. We hope that you enjoy, and we'd like to thank Irene C. Cardwell Head Start for all of their hard work. Thank you, parents, for having your children here and being part of our lives at Head Start.
On this slide, you can take a look at our performance at the MATES level for third grade reading. So those include that data table includes the target goals that were board approved. Again, these are done every 5 years. So this year, we will be working on setting new target goals for our campuses since it does go over a span of 5 years. And then you'll also, just a special note, you'll notice that Ceniza Hills last year was their first year of performance. So they don't have goals set, but those are special. We'll have to set those for next year, okay? So again, we will be reviewing this year for the next 5 years as required by House Bill 3. So these are the goals that are being monitored that were set for third grade reading by campus. You can take a look at our performance in 2024, which was last spring. And those in that blue color are the goals that were set and board approved. And then, of course, those in that second or that next row is our performance at the MEETS level across the district. And then you'll notice that the last row has our goal for this school year for 24-25. And it's indicated there by the district, and then, of course, each campus. Now, again, these are the goals we monitor as part of the early childhood literacy goal, and then, of course, CCMR will come here in a bit. Third grade math, you'll see in this slide the goals that were set and approved for each campus at third grade math. And you'll see where we started as a baseline and then how we've moved throughout the years. Again, the 24 goal was for last school year. You'll see that in that blue color. Those were the goals set. And then the performance levels are in the 24 percentage met. And then, of course, 25 goal. Yes, sir?
I'm sorry, ma'am. I wanted to clarify two things before you continued.
Sure.
The first part is that I know in a discussion earlier, you asked me about setting a goal for Ceniza Hills. And I was thinking about last year to have something to compare it to, but we didn't set one. But for this year, for both math and reading, we have to set 60%. So
60%.
that's what we're going to write in there. That was my mistake in our conversation earlier. And then the second part that I want to clarify is that the state of Texas considers approaches as a passing standard. Approaches is one level below the meets and masters. But for House Bill 3 specifically, they want us to set a goal of how many kids by third grade will be at the meets level, which is a higher standard. That's why, you see the goals kind of low. I don't want anybody confused thinking that we have low goals for the kids. This is to perform one level above what the state considers as passing. So, for example, at Garfield, our goal in reading is to have at least 65% of the kids reading at the meets level by third grade and having 65% of the kids score in their math at the meets level. Again, the meets level is one level above what the state considers as passing.
Thank you, Dr. Rios. So again, you'll see our 2025 goal is on that last row for third grade math. And next slide shows our CCMR yearly target goals. Again, you'll see the progression from 2020. We were not rated that year. Again, our raw score and our targets along the years. So for 2024, our target was a 97%. And I want to clarify what those two numbers indicate on that top row, that target goal. Initially, the goals were set at 74, 77, 81 for 22, and 85 for 2023, 88 for 2024, and 92 for 2025. With the performance, it was required to update those goals, so that's why you'll see an updated goal next to it in parentheses, okay? So those goals were updated based on performance, and you'll see how we're trending throughout the years for CCMR. The assessments that we use to inform instruction, and I want to also let you know that these assessments are also what is used for TIA for the teachers in those levels. Okay, so for kindergarten, we assess beginning, middle, and end of year with the TextKia. First and second grade uses TPRI. And of course, those two have that, include the universal dyslexia screener at those particular times throughout the year. Pre-kinder uses their circle. Third grade will test in reading and math. And then, of course, CCMR, we track progress by tracking students and then, of course, using end-of-year data. The next slide will show you some of the intervention resources that the district has invested in, and you'll notice the different intervention programs that are available for our campuses. Pre-kinder, of course, has Renaissance Mayan along with Circle and Frog Street intervention toolkits. Kinder through fifth also has those listed there. Progress Learning, Liftoff, these are all the softwares that the district has invested in. And of course, also Power Hour in their master schedule, along with ACE program after school for intervention. And then at the CCMR level, or secondary level, they do have TSI tutorials and testing throughout the year. They have college prep classes, hand schedule courses for seniors, and of course, Edgenuity. So those are all the resources that are invested for our campuses to use as intervention tools. And of course, we're developing a process so that we have updates for the board as far as use and usage for each of them. Okay. And then, of course, the last slide is part of what we need to continue to monitor throughout the year. So some of the items, some of the programs that we use to progress monitor our third, well, all of our levels. We have, of course, Renaissance Star assessments, formative and summative assessments, Summit K1-2 for listening and speaking. And then, of course, we have our AIM High fluency trackers, the House Bill 1416 trackers through AIM High. And then this year, of course, updating campus and classroom data walls and student trackers. For grade level instruction, we continue partnerships with NIAT and Region 15. Planning continues to be set in the master schedule. And then, of course, aligned curriculum documents in the planning protocol dashboard. And the targeted professional development, our biggest one, of course, is the READ Academy. This year, we do have 25 participants, 6 school administrators, 1 director, and 19 kinder through 5th teachers. And that is all that I have. Any questions for me?
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from the board? Ms. Webb?
Ms. Farr, and I noticed some of the things that we're working on monitoring and improving the professional development so that our students can be at the next level, not just at approaches, but with the meets level. And that's great. The fact that it remains that on the assessments, the summative evaluations, do we get reports on those, or will we be getting an update on those as to how the students are doing throughout the year and not wait until mid-year to get a report?
We do have running records on the reports for performance with our summatives.
then the other
And our
question-
blue and whites, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
thank you. No, you're fine. Then the other question, I know that TEA has the TIA, but Head Start also has, and I appreciate, Ms. Talamantes, thank you for the presentation from the kids, because you all are basically the foundation of where everything starts. But I also am aware of the fact that Head Start and pre-kinder get assessed on two different instruments, and one is called class. So I was wondering if Ms. Alana could address that and tell us how our students do in comparison to other Head Starts within the state and the nation.
Ms. Webb, so to better prepare, we can ask Ms. Alana to present at the next meeting or provide a board update, whichever y'all would prefer.
Okay, that would be fine.
What would you prefer?
Probably just to present to the board.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do that next month.
Make note.
Oh, I'm sorry, or, they did the beginning of the year. How about we wait till the BOY? That way we have some growth data.
Okay.
When do y'all have the BOY, Ms. Talamantes? Dr. Talamantes? Right. Okay, but a more formal report so they could see the gap that they have to our program. Okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
Middle of the year testing is in January.
okay.
Anyone else? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Item 8B, Bilingual and ESL Department Program Presentation, Ms. Karen Schaefer.
Good evening, Vice President, Mr. Overfeld, school board members, and Dr. Rios. Today I'm going to be presenting our annual program report for our bilingual ESL program that we have for the district. Start off with just telling you what I'm going to be talking briefly about, our program models that we have here, the emergent bilingual counts that we currently have, the professional development that we've been offering our teachers and our admin, our parental involvement, our exceptions and waivers, our TELPAS results, can't wait, and our graduation and dropout rates for this past year and in comparison to 2023. So our models that we have are early exit transitional programs for elementary, which in them we have instruction in literacy and academic content in English and in Spanish, taught by our certified bilingual education teachers, and decreases primary language instruction as English proficiency increases. In our secondary ESL pull-out programs, we have our linguistically and culturally responsive teaching to achieve full English proficiency and participate equitably in the schools. And instruction is provided by ESL certified teachers in English using ESL instructional strategies. In the next slide, it's a comparison of our active EBs from 2023 to 2024, which you can see by grade. We had 2,145 in 2023, and it has been decreased to 2,100. Both reports were provided in October. In the chart next to it are parent denials by grade. In 2023, you can see we had 81 in October, and in 2024, we had 92, a little rise in those denials. How it starts, just really quickly, is we do have our LPAC BOY trainings every year, and this one was in August 24th for this year, August 2nd, 2024. And they cover the regular stuff by the student identification and placement of students, the review of the language proficiency data, program recommendations, parent notifications, and documentation. And if there is a time where a parent has a choice of denying the program after the LPACs are done, we found that some of the main reasons for denials are that there is just a desire for full English immersion for the child, a misunderstanding of the bilingual education program, or there's limited information or support for the student. And sometimes it's just simple roster issues that happen, but we correct those during our auditing with our LPAC clerks. The process that we have for each campus, if there is a denial, goes through a formal process, whereas the campus has a conversation with the parent or the guardian. The parent or the guardian then is referred to the compliance coordinator, which is Mr. Calderon in our team, for additional discussion of the program. And then the compliance coordinator, if there is a continuation of the denial, will have them sign a form, and then that form is uploaded onto the child's LPAC folder, which is housed in DMAC. And then the coding is issued into PEAMS that we use for coding. Last year, we were limited with our professional development, where Region 15 came and trained our strategists, and then strategists took that training onto the campus to train their teachers, either after school or whenever they were asked to join in planning protocol. And then at the beginning of the year, because we do use Lexia English and Summit K-12, they were also trained at the start of the year to help troubleshoot at that time, or then if they couldn't figure it out, they would call us and we'd immediately work with them as well. This year, however, because of my meetings with TEA, one of the questions that was asked of me is, well, how do you have that monitoring piece for your teachers? And I could not answer that, full transparency. So they offered an idea of maybe you should offer training for the teachers and the admin, so that admin can have their walkthroughs and they can see what a bilingual teacher should be doing through their training. So what we decided to do is we brought in Region 13, and they have been providing trainings for 2 cohorts. One for elementary, we have 50 teachers, and one for secondary. They just half a day trainings during RTI. And with that, TA is also providing our admin from the campuses to join in during Zoom, just to use the ALPS observation guide, so that they can know what they're actually doing with those trainings that the teachers had during RTI, during instruction. And then Region 15 is still coming into training sessions, but with aides, so that the aides can also be knowledgeable about the EB students. I'm sorry, I didn't. That's what I was talking about. We also have a meeting with TEA with our Title III parent involvement activities. And last year we had 3 videos. They were watch parties that they offered that we were offering our parents to join in. So we offered that. And they also have a link that we can join at any time to review those videos. They also have the Emergent Bilingual Student Texas links to offer parent engagement activities, family engagement activities, and community engagement activities along with that link. And so what we've done is we continue this year, we're going to offer those watch parties like TA recommends, and use those activities to increase our capacity for parents to make those connections for the community, their family, and just self-knowledge to go on with English classes. The next, what I'm working on this week, because it's due by the 1st, is our exceptions and waivers. Those are the teachers who are not certified, yet we're asking TA to accept them as a replacement till they get certified. So before, we would just give them a number from every campus, but this year they're asking us to give them names of the teachers who are an exception or a waiver. So that means that next year, that teacher of this year from 1 year of the exception or waiver cannot be an exception or waiver next year. So we have to figure out a plan to have them get certified, or then it's just a rollover, which we need to really stop doing to prevent that and have really good certified teachers in the classroom. So at first, we just gave them options with TEA. They have modules that teachers can go in, get that training, apply for that little certificate they get from the modules. And then this year, we also have the EBES, which is a program from Texas A&M where they can go in, get the modules, and then do the same, except for the test for the BTLPT, which is 190. They do offer a person to help actual with that test. This year, we decided to go one step forward because we've always tried to add things to our program, is Ms. De La Rosa, who's our curriculum coordinator, and I are going to split up our training. We're getting a module set coming into and having teachers use those modules. However, we're going to train teachers also with additional support, person to person, to come to our trainings. So there is a stipend pathway, just very quickly, with an attempt where they just take the modules, get certified for that, a certificate, and then they sign up to take the test. Once they do that, just in the attempt, they'll get $500 at the end of the school year. However, if everybody does that, or whomever does that, they can get a stipend by taking the test, which they've already done, they pass it, and then they just give us their certification, what do you call it? Their paper that they did get the test, and then we give them a refund for those things, and then we can give them their stipend immediately. The next slide just shows how we did with listening, speaking, reading and writing, and the composite scores. This year, the criteria has changed, so it's really not, you cannot compare them very well. But with the new criteria, if you go to the next slide, we can see that their listening, their composite score, was it just kind of varied. However, their exit criteria showed that there was no growth. It was similar, but what did change to help us with our exits was the reclassification changes. So the criteria changed to this. The composite advanced high used to be advanced high in listening, speaking, reading, and writing, straight. So if you got one advanced in one of those, you could not exit. But now you can have a choice of 2 advanced high, 2 advanced, and you'll still get a composite score advanced high. That's one way toward getting your credentials to exit. The next thing is pass the STAR reading or EOC, depending on the grade. And then not only that, but 1st, 2nd, 11th, and 12th have to pass the Iowa. So if you can see to the right, last year we had 41 exits. This year we had 188 exits. The next page tells you which classes or grades, along with which campuses that equaled that 188. Every single campus had at least one exit from their campus or grade. And then down below you can see that we had 7 special ed, 1 special ed in life skills, 13 504s, and 7 denials that were part of that 188. The last slide is our graduation and dropout rates from 2023-24. Our graduation rate went up from 82.8 to 83.2. And you can see that our EB annual dropout rate for 7th through 12th went down, which is amazing, from 4.3 to 2.3. And that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from the board over any of this? No? Dr. Rios, want to add anything?
The one thing that I will add, and I need to ask Ms. Shaver a question. The number of, it's 3 questions, but if you could just give me a close figure. So this year we had over 140 more kids exit than the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
How many students, what's the highest number that can possibly exit this year?
With the support that we're providing, with the training for teachers, the training for admin, and the support tiered on down, we have a possibility of 866 possible students to exit.
Okay, So the reason that's important is because maybe we won't get to 800 students, but even if we were to get somewhere in the middle, that's a lot less bilingual certified teachers that we would need, and that would mean a lot less waivers that we would have to file in the coming year. So for example, how many waivers did we file this year?
Still not through verifying, but we have more than we did last year, close to, for elementary, I believe it was 40, so it went up a slight. And then for secondary, I believe it just went up 3. But again, I'm still in the process of verifying.
So if we could have at least 400 kids exit, hopefully that would be, half the number of waivers that we would file. And the other part, so therefore, if we offered that many, that just means we have that many teachers that are not certified in bilingual,
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. And given the new state requirement where we can't have more than 1 year of submitting
A waiver.
a waiver, that would be a huge help. So I wanted to clarify that. And the standards did change, but I think that we're on the right track, so thank you, ma'am.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did that clarify it?
Item 8C, middle school redesign, middle school redesign. Ms. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening, Vice President Overfelt, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. This evening and beginning this month, the administration will be presenting updates to the board on the progress of the middle school redesign. And to update the members of our audience, it was recently approved by the board earlier this month. So beginning this month, we will begin preparing an update to the board each month. And we will be meeting, the administration is actively working with our cabinet members, with our directors, and we'll be meeting with our principals to prepare and ensure a comprehensive plan for that restructuring and redesign. So I'm going to share with you some of the project milestones in putting together the information. There are some categories and components that are involved in the process of redesign. These are leadership, rezoning, technology, CTE courses, special education, athletics, facility needs at each of the 3 campuses, and blended, and staffing. And certainly this is not a whole comprehensive, but this is a good start of the conversations that we're having so that we can prepare for that transition. So let me share with you leadership, some of the activities that we have begun with leadership. We've begun to post the position for the middle school principal for the 3rd campus and the target dates. You'll see that I will provide for you, you'll see a chart here with the activity, the target date, and then you'll see a little check mark where we have accomplished that particular target or milestone. We've conducted interviews for middle school principal for the 3rd campus. That happened last week. And you'll see this week, if not tonight, the board action to approve middle school principal for that 3rd campus. Board action will also be taken to approve roofing, plumbing, and the AC contracts for Cody Wardlaw Gym as we're moving forward to use the gym. Organize and convene a meeting with all middle school principals to prepare and plan for the middle school redesign. And we will need their input. This is where we now will have the 3 administrators, and then we'll talk to them about what are their needs and what are some of those needs that need to be added to this milestone list. And then we will prepare for our first Citizens Committee meeting. And so we want to be able to share with them information, updates. We've had meetings with the demographer, and possibly by that time we'll have some information to share with them as well. The next category is on rezoning. So there's a working meeting with the demographer, as I mentioned earlier, that occurred on October the 24th. There's a work towards completing a plan, options for rezoning Garfield Elementary students. That will happen at the end of this month, this week. And the next steps are identifying students that would possibly be rezoned to attend blended academy, looking at 2 plans, and that we'll look into it for next week. After that discussion, establishing meetings with parents of identified students who are within that zone that could potentially be reassigned. That scheduled target date is November the 7th. And then based on the parent input, selection of Plan A or Plan B based on input from the committee. And we anticipate that that would occur mid-November. There are other project milestones that we are going to be looking into. These are some other categories that we'll be presenting to you in the upcoming meetings. For example, we have technology, CTE courses, special education, athletics, facility needs as we begin to prepare and meet with our principals to talk to them about what the needs of the campuses are, as well as the directors, and certainly staffing. And here's an example. We met this week with our technology director to establish the needs. And so just in the short conversation that we had with our technology director, he quickly said, oh, well, we need to consider this, this, and this. And so we're going to be putting together a comprehensive list as we begin to meet with each one of the directors and principals, and we'll start putting together some information and activities and the target dates. So here's those examples, as you will see, that I will be presenting to you each month, and I will provide information to you and anticipate these activities will be rolling very quickly. And so we're excited that we'll be presenting this information to you each month for you and for our committee members, as well as our public. I'll entertain any questions if you have any at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from the board?
Just real quick question as far as the plan options, the complete plan options for the rezoning. I know the target date's 31 October. Should we see a board update over the weekend regarding the full plan and how it'll play out, or are we going to see that in the next board meeting?
Mr. Almaraz, the information, as soon as it's handed down to the demographer, I'll make it available to the board via an update. And you'll also get an update after every meeting that we have, either with the Citizens Committee or with the parents from Garfield. You can rest assured that that will happen.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Galindo?
Dr. Reels, just to expand on that, I'm noticing here it says complete plan options for rezoning Garfield, and then we're talking about who's going to attend blended academy. When will you estimate to have the full rezoning to show where the middle schools would be divided up based off where they live to see the entire map citywide?
Yes, sir, Mr. Alindo. There's 2 things that demographer has to work out. The first one is we have to resolve the elementary issue with Garfield. We expect that that'll be done by November. And then when we're done with that, then the demographer will already have the information. I have to sit with him because they're not from Del Rio. So natural boundaries that we have to be able to explain that to them. Okay. And then he's committed, they have committed to having a couple of plans to us sometime in November. But we have to work it out because they either have to create such a thorough presentation that we can present it to the Citizens Committee, which we have 2 members here today, or they have to come down and present themselves. In any case, our goal is to have all the parents aware of what middle school they will attend by the last week in January. So what Ms. Hernandez is presenting to you is just a summary of the to-do list that we have. We have a tab for each one of those things, and some have a lot of items filled on it. Some we're going to fill out as soon as we get the 3 principals together, and then we have to review this with the committee. But on the rezoning tab, which is the one that she has up there now, or the summary of it, we have on there for the last week in January to let all students know which middle school they would attend.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Number 8D, special education update, Ms. Monica Luna.
Good evening, Mr. Overfelt, Dr. Rios, members of the board. This evening, I'll be giving you an update on the findings from the independent consultant, Brenda Oates, that was board approved in July. And the purpose of Brenda Oates' consultation was to assess the district's current evaluation practices in alignment with federal and state guidelines and to ensure that these practices are consistent with our district goals of student support, academic achievement, and resource stewardship. Who participated and how was the data gathered? Well, Mrs. Oates came to our district and she conducted face-to-face interviews with key stakeholders. We had 3 campus administrators. We had evaluation processes. We brought in our coordinators from the special ed department, and we also had educational diagnosticians from the campuses. She also conducted those stakeholder meetings in 2 days. She was here August 19th and 20th. And then she conducted an anonymous survey conducted among all campus principals, evaluation staff to include the school psychologists, any contractors we use, the speech evaluators. The survey also went out to the art facilitators and all district campus counselors that began the referral process. The results of her findings were that the data obtained, there were a few discrepancies in the overall perception of the referral evaluation process. Some of the strengths she found for San Felipe Del Rio is the child study packet. It was easily accessible. The special education coordinators meet weekly to review the referral process for all district referrals and the established protocols that were already set in place. Some of the areas of concern that she wanted to work on and for the district to work on was the evaluation timelines. They were still going to the 45th day. The lack of clarity, and when we asked her to elaborate on the clarity, was just some of the counselors felt when they did the referral, they never were informed if the student actually qualified or did not qualify. And then the training the teachers on the interventions, kind of working with CNI to see what interventions are available through our district and what supports can be implemented in the classroom level by the teachers. The collaboration of the general education teachers and the special ed teachers on documenting the referrals and any interventions and supports that they're doing during the referral process. The second phase of the consultation that we're looking at collaborating with Ms. Oates would entail the concentration of the two critical areas that she did outline for us, the multi-tiered systems of support, the MTSS, and the district data protocols as they relate to the referral process for the special education evaluations. This phase would also dedicate time to fostering strategic collaboration opportunities with the district evaluation teams, and this would be done quarterly, where, if approved, the consultant would meet with the educational diagnosticians, the speech staff, to work on any evaluation concerns that they had. The comprehensive review of the strategic alignment, the evaluation procedures, we're estimating a day and a half. The first day would take care of the standardized evaluation parameters, consultation with the special ed evaluation team leaders, and drafting district guidance. The half day would be used to refine the district guidance and put in some procedures. The second part, the review of the strategic alignment, the MTSS, this we are happy to report that our first RTI day, September 23rd, was utilized to train our counselors. Mrs. Sandra Hernandez trained the counselors on the process, and we developed all the forms that would be used. These forms are also available electronically on Google Documents. So that second part would entail 1 day of the review of the existing MTSS process and the data protocol process. The half day would be aligning the MTSS data protocols with the referral for the special education evaluation. The strategic collaboration would be 3 days of training. This would utilize some of trainings that would help support our operating procedures, streamlining processes, and consistency in the practices. The 2 half days would be used to train our campus administrators to aligning the MTSS data protocols, the child find process, and the consistency in the practices and the behavior interventions and supports that are currently already in place and available to our students. The 1 half day would be used for topics to collaborate with counselors on aligning the MTSS, the child study process and procedures, and consistency in the practices from elementary to middle schools, and even when we have anybody that's referred through a child parent find, a parent referral, or through a community ECI referral. Does the board have any questions I can answer?
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Mr. Amadas, sorry.
Couple questions. When
Yes,
was this evaluation completed, and when was it done, with the consultants?
The independent, Dr. Rios, or do you want me to answer?
Go ahead.
The independent consultation was approved in July. She came to our district August 19th and 20th. And the anonymous survey we did 10 days after that. We did receive her report October 20th with her findings and summaries.
Okay, great. Second question of this, I've only got 3. Second question is these, being a semi-new board member, I still not sure how all this plays a role in, but the strategic collaboration and training, how often do we do that for? Is this something that we've been doing?
If I may, we started last year identifying different areas in the special education department that needed to be addressed. The number of students was growing. The diagnosticians were falling behind in evaluating the students. We were going through changes, painful changes. Mm-hmm. And at that point, we first started by ensuring that our behavior units, our dyslexia units, our units were improved. So we hired a consultant for that, and we had wonderful results, and we're in the last year of that. The diagnosticians were assigned to the campuses, and we started keeping track of the number of days from the time the child find report was made to the time that they were evaluated and turned over to diagnosticians. And that has been a tremendous improvement, but still we're nowhere near where we need to be. So we hired this lady to come and evaluate the process and let us know what we needed to do. So her report is very thorough, but in summary, we have some diagnosticians that finish the assessments quick and the reports quick, and then we have some that maybe not as quick. But what we came to find out is that before we go wondering if it's a difference from one diagnostician to the next, it could be that the report that they get in the child find process, it could vary from campus to campus in terms of the amount of data that's provided, the type of interventions the student has received. So the consultant wants to first make sure that those processes are aligned across the district, create protocols. And once we know that everybody's getting the same type of report, by everyone I mean the diagnosticians, then we can begin to say and explain the expectations that we have for completing that. But before we hold everybody to the same standard, we got to make sure everybody's getting the same report across mainly elementary schools are the ones that provide the reports. That's why the counselors have to be involved because they're a big part in creating the report and the data that they gather from the teachers. So this will be the first time that we have those collaboration meetings with the diagnostician.
Okay. And last question, I promise. So is that what's going to be used to address those 4 areas that need improvement, the evaluation timelines? Lack of clarity, I understand that, but the training interventions and collaboration of the special ed teachers, is that what we're going to use to address those concerns? Because those are pretty big concerns from what I read and from what I hear. The evaluation timelines, getting the students the right help they need in a timely manner right after the eval's done. So what are we going to do to improve those 4?
Well, the important piece is the report, Ms. Luna, that the diagnosticians complete and submit that ends up at the ARD.
The full individual initial evaluation, the FIE.
Yeah, the FIE. We want to make sure that when the campus gets it, that the interventions are provided adequately. And that was the big goal, that if the diagnosticians were on the campus, that then, when they are not assessing students, that they could assist the principals in making sure that those interventions were happening as they should be. Again, I think that we've had a tremendous improvement, but we have to make sure that our systems are appropriate before we can move forward.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Ms. Chavez?
Yes, just the timeline for the child studies, it's still 43, did you mention?
It's 45 days.
45 days.
And then
Okay,
30
it's
days
still
to
the
go to
same.
ARD.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Move on to 8E, Facilities and Construction Update. Mr. Chapa?
Good evening, Mr. Overfelt, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Tonight's presentation will provide the finished product of Cardwell Elementary, the fence drop-off, the fencing. First picture is the fence drop-off, parent drop-off near the campus. And the second picture is by the life skills unit in the rear of the campus. As I said, project is completed. Upcoming construction projects would be a fence at San Felipe Memorial Middle School, as well as the Cody Warlaw renovation. Later on during the agenda, there's 3 consent items that are be considered by the board. One would be the roof overlay. The second one would be the plumbing bid. and the third would be the HVAC equipment replacement. There on the presentation, there are some target dates for each individual trade. Basically, the first two, the roof overlay and the plumbing, would possibly begin the first day of December. That's considering lead times for materials. And the HVAC would be right after the holidays, beginning of January. The roof overlay is considered to be completed possibly by mid-January. And both plumbing and HVAC would be mid-April or late April. Next, we go on to maintenance projects that are being considered or in the process. One is a canopy replacement or install at Bobby Barrera. Second one is a variety of canopies at Calderon Elementary. An interior remodel at Calderon Elementary. And some lighting replacement, light fixture replacement at the current Student Guidance Learning Center. Going on to the work tickets, maintenance department. The 90-day total tickets created was 1,356. 90% of those were completed. The 0 to 15 days, 217, 92% completed. 16 to 30 days, 91% completed. 31 to 60 days, 90% completed. 61 to 90 days, 87% completed. Technology, for 90 days, total tickets were created was 3,525. 96% of those were completed. On the 0 to 15 days, 490 were entered and created. 95% was completed. 16 to 30 days, 470 were created. 91% was completed. 31 to 60 days, 1,667 were created, 95% was completed, and 61 to 90 days, 898 were created, 100% completed. Lastly, transportation work orders. For the 90 days, 206 were created, 95% was completed. 0 to 15 days, 42% was created, 86 was completed. 16 to 30 days, 43 were created, 98% were completed. 31 to 60 days, 76 were created, 100% was completed. 61 to 90 days, 45 were created, 93% were completed. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Ms. Webb?
And I believe this question is more for Dr. Rios. On the interior remodel for Calderon, what exactly are we looking at remodeling? And the reason I'm asking is because Lonnie Green was constructed after Calderon, but it was modeled after. And the same model was used for Lonnie Green as Calderon. So are we going to be looking at remodeling Lonnie Green in the near future with the same anticipation as Calderon? Or where are we on this?
If I may explain, Ms. Webb, the remodel is we're not talking about anything bricks and mortar. If you look at Lonnie Green and compare it to Calderon, I wasn't here when both campuses were imagined, but if you look at Calderon, it has the same pattern on the ceiling, the walls, and the tile, and it looks very bare. So when we walked over there, we just talked about having some, obviously, accent walls, and we talked about having some items displayed on the walls, and maybe a pattern on the tile.
On the floor.
So that it would be, for lack of a better word, so it wouldn't be so sterile. Because it is a solid campus. There are plans in the distant future to remodel those two campuses, but here we're not talking about a remodel with bricks and mortar. We're talking more about a facelift with paints and graphics, okay? And then the outside, the canopies, because it is pretty bare. However, all of the items on the maintenance project, all of those require significant money. But those are the ones that are in the forefront right now. And after we have the initial consultation with the Citizens Committee about the rezoning and the 3 middle schools, we'll touch on the expenses for some of these projects. Because these, as we've identified, are not bond-type projects. They're projects that our maintenance people can do. But for example, the interior remodel of Calderon, the designer wants $33,000 to give us the plan, and then we go buy the graphics, and we go buy the paint, and we pay the painter. So when we're done with all that, the project's gonna end up looking more like $100,000 with labor and everything. The canopies at Calderon Elementary, Ms. Childers, do you remember what the budget was for that, the proposals? No? But I am quite sure that it was close to another $100,000. But anyway, those are the projects that are at the forefront. We're not saying that we're going to get started on these next week, but these are the ones that we need to discuss because these are the ones we've put off a little bit.
Thank you, sir. And the reason I asked was because I've been at both campuses, and the flooring at Lonnie Green, and Becky can attest to this too, you have colored tile on the floor so that the students can go one way, come back the opposite direction, and I don't believe Calderon has that. So that's my reason for asking those questions, but thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
They must have done a whole lot of value engineering when they built Calderon. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think I was. Anyway, we'll figure it out.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Chavez.
I'm concerned with the canopies at Bobby Barrera Elementary. What could you elaborate on the maintenance? Because they're fairly new, right?
Yeah, ma'am, the playground canopies, those.
Oh, they're talking about okay, I'm thinking the canopies to the rooms.
Right, no, the
Okay.
canopies to the rooms are good.
Yeah.
The canopies where the swings are, those are okay. But when the parents approach to pick up the children, we're talking about a canopy between the office and the first set of classrooms in the
Okay.
entrance.
Okay.
Because there is nowhere else to protect them from the elements.
Right.
There's no porch, nothing like that.
Right.
We're hoping that our maintenance department can build that. That's probably the least expensive out of all of them. But it's just one of the things, again, that we've delayed.
Very much needed there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 8F is Term 1 Attendance and Discipline Report. Ms. Sandate, as you know, every meeting, we get this prior to. Is there any question or anything Ms. Sandate or others can answer concerning anything in the report?
Mr. Orville?
Yes, sir.
Can we just note that there was a slight improvement in attendance as compared to last year? So we got to take the small celebrations
There you
when we
go.
can.
So we did have a bump in attendance over last year, so that is a good thing. So we'll conclude with Term 1 attendance. That takes us to consent. Number 9, there are minutes from some meetings in there, some financial statements, bids, and of course donations. The donations were listed on our social feeds and our website this week. We thank everyone for going in and donating to the various programs and schools within the district. If there's any item that you need clarification on or would like voted on separately, please speak now. Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as is? Mr. Almaraz first, seconded by Ms. Chavez. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. That takes us to 13B, 13B, Business and Finance. I am told, though, administration is asking to table this until the November board meeting. Is this correct, sir?
Yes, sir, Mr. Oldfield.
Okay, so there has been a request to table 13A until the November regular board meeting. Is there a motion to table?
Motion.
Mr. Galindo, seconded by Ms. Webb. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous for tabling that. 14, 15, 16, nothing. That takes us straight into closed session. 17. The board will now adjourn into, or move into closed session pursuant to Texas Education Code, Chapter 551.074 and 071. Any and all votes will be taken during open session. Time is now 7:17. We are in closed session. All right, it is 8:39 PM on Monday, October 28th. We are back from closed session. No action was taken. It is time to reconvene. Item A, consideration to approve personnel report to include the following: new hires and district vacancies, retirements and resignations. Ms. Amy Childress.
Good evening, Vice President Overfelt, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the resignations and vacancies as discussed in closed session and the following new personnel: Priscilla Rodriguez, pre-kindergarten teacher at Roberto Bobby Barrera Elementary School; Desiree Rodriguez, fourth grade teacher, Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary School; and Stephanie Blackwelder, CTE Business Technology teacher at San Felipe Memorial Middle School.
Thank you, ma'am. We have heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to accept? Mr. Galindo, followed by Ms. Webb. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, passes. Thank you. Item B, consideration to approve the position of counselor at Del Rio High School.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve Cynthia Cavazos Ramirez for counselor at Del Rio High School.
Thank you, ma'am. We've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to accept? Mr. Almaraz, followed by Ms. Chavez. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C, consideration to approve the position of middle school principal.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve Jorge Jurado for principal at the new middle school.
Thank you, ma'am. We've heard the recommendation. There's a motion to accept. Ms. Chavez, followed by Ms. Webb. Any other discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lastly, D, consideration to approve position for counselor at Garfield Elementary.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve Amanda Salas for counselor at Garfield Elementary School.
Thank you, ma'am. We have heard the recommendation. I so move. Is there a second? Mr. Galindo. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
ma'am. Nothing under superintendent's report, and this bringing us to the end. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Amadas, Mr. Galindo, second. All in favor? Unanimous. Adjourned at 8:42 p.m. Thank you all. You'll have a good night.